it gave me a confidence boost, to be quite honest. To think I'm moving from a order taker to a specialist. I'm no longer going to just give out all of this information. In the last episode, we spoke about the Win Without Pitching Manifesto by Blair Enns, and we really spoke extensively on the importance of specializing and positioning. Today, we really want to talk about reframing the way we look at selling as creatives and putting on the specialist hat, taking on that role as a prescriber, as a person of expertise that has expertise in their field. And one of the 12 proclamations made um, in Blair's book talks about exactly that. We will diagnose before we prescribe. Can you talk to our audience? What does that mean, Imed?
Yeah, I very like this chapter because it put me in perspective that, you know, we can be described as doctors and psychiatrists, lawyers, in the way that those people don't take orders. They advise and they diagnose before giving a solution to their clients or patient. So even so, someone came and tell them, I have a pain bag, give me a pill to heal me. They don't care. They need to really see and examine you if you really have a back pain in order to give you the medication. So same in the creative field. Someone can came to me and ask for a website, a logo, whatever it might be, a video in that case, and we don't know if he really needs the website or the video. So we need to diagnose, and diagnosing costs money. So that's where the conversation is going, because how can we show the client that we need to charge him for diagnosing his problem, and even so maybe he gonna understand that he don't need a website, but he gonna
Yep.
pay for that. So what do you think about it?
I think I think you're totally right. And you know, later in the book, I think it's around. I'm looking at it now. Um, I think it's like the ninth or 10th proclamation. Blair talks about the reason why we need to charge for our expertise for the strategy is because sometimes you're going to get clients that they're just shopping around. They have zero intention on going with you, but they want to get your proposal. They may take stuff from it and implement themselves. They may, show that to a competitor that ends up winning the business. And here you go spending all this time and effort putting this together, doing research. You have a gold mine that you feel like um, would really benefit the client, and then they don't even work with you. I can't tell you the number of times I have had that happen, where I spend hours and hours just going over every little detail, and I'm giving them what I believe is a 10 out of 10. It probably isn't. I think it is. It's at least a point of jumping off, and they go silent. Have you had similar things?
Yeah, that's what's crazy. No, I don't have a story like that per se, but what I put into a perspective which is, if you're just starting doing logo design or branding or strategy, right? But you already have a business on the side, let's say an e-commerce brand that you own, and you're making 50K per month or 100K per month. Do you really think that you're gonna waste your time doing proposals to clients that you like
Yep.
trying to
Yep.
win, but you don't have time for
No,
them,
no,
right?
absolutely
You
not.
don't have time
Yeah.
for that. So even so, you're just starting this business, this new business you're going into. You have the mindset to not chasing the client, so you don't care if he want it or no. So for me, the fact that we're just starting is not enough to limit ourselves to we need to give them proposal for free or thinking for free, because if we were on a different situation, we won't think like that, you know. But even so, I don't have a brand
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
100K per month, but I think like that
Yeah.
as of now.
No, I totally agree. And Blair talks about this concept of our minimum level of engagement. That's a fancy way of saying like what's your bottom line for taking on clients? Because the way we can prove we're experts and we're specialists is by walking away from potential clients because of the price. Uh, we aren't supposed to work with everyone. If we do, then I think that really plays against our need to become experts and to position ourselves that way. And so that minimum level, he said, I think it was like 10, 15, maybe 20% of your annual revenue should be like your project minimum. But and maybe that is what we go off of. I don't know. He did say though, you will take on speculative projects, which are free. You will have those charity cases where they just can't afford you, but you're hoping by doing it for free, you can upsell, they take your services, whatever. And sometimes, it's just an exciting project and you want to do that, do it. Um, but know that you have the power to walk away. Have you ever walked away from a potential deal?
Yeah, sure. Because I money isn't that important for me, but like I don't like working for free. That's a fact because I know that I can do something else better than breaking my head or chasing the client, having false expectation. So I don't like deal with low budget clients. So I only aim for high, and I'm trying to get as much as I can. So yeah, I don't mind walking away, whatever the price is, if I think it's a
Right.
burden to
No, that
be.
makes sense. And
So
and in the book, he talks about um, that that's just a natural thing that happens, and sometimes you walk away not even because of the price. There's other factors like how much of a pain are they going to be as a client, uh, and he stresses the importance of have a handful of high quality clients instead of this pool of low quality, lower paying clients because those ones are going to be more of a headache. And I have fallen into that trap many times where I'm like, you know what, this project, they have a really small budget, but they are recommended to me from someone or they're referred to me, and you know I want to help them out. I think I have the time. It always ends up being I have more going on with them. I'm thinking that it's just going to take a couple hours to get something finished, and we're going on several months.
mm,
And I'm chasing them around all
yeah,
this, and I'm
yeah,
like, I just do not have time for that. Um, yeah, and so I'm at a different place now. But do you, in the book, Blair talks about bringing up the money early. And I've heard a lot of debate about this, back and forth between talk about it early and then don't. And what do you think?
For myself, yeah, I never studied sales per se before. So when I came across the future and Chris Doe said, telling that, you need to talk about pricing at the beginning, which makes sense because I don't like waste my time. I don't like wasting people time. So if I'm gonna talk with you for 30 minutes and after I'm saying to you, it's $10,000, and you're gonna tell to me, "What the hell? What are you talking about? I don't think that." Nah, 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 nah. And we lost 30 minutes both. So this 30 minutes can go to another person who $10,000 for
Yeah,
him or her is like one
yeah.
dollar.
But it's
So
not just 30 minutes though.
yeah, I think that
It's more than that because
yeah,
if
it
you don't talk
depends.
about it, you make that proposal and you send it to them. Where are all the hours in there? And then there's a follow-up call discussing it. They want to negotiate. So you're spending, I mean, you could spend at least 10 hours on something that never happens.
Yeah, and for myself, what I did is I put like $5,000 minimum on my contact form. so that you know that it is minimum $5,000. So if you contact me, you're aware of that. So I don't waste my time from the beginning. So if someone is contacting me, they know what is about, and yeah, I talk right away. What is your goals? What is the goal of the call? And I talk about pricing. After that, if it's okay, we keep talking, developing more about the business goals, etc., and project.
Totally. It's also important, like as a freelancer, agency owner, entrepreneur, whatever, know average numbers to at least have some sort of idea as where your pricing sits in relation. For example, there's a larger client I'm speaking with currently. They all of their records, the finances are public. So I went and I looked at their finance statements at the annual report, looking for their marketing budget line, looking for advertising. I didn't find anything. I was like, okay, that's a bummer. But I Googled their competitors. Sure enough, they had all of their stuff online, and I was looking, and my eyes were open. What does that give me? That gives me, hey, your competitors are spending X number of dollars or percentage of their annual revenue on their marketing. And then you look at the industry and compare that. So when you have that conversation, like you can be pretty analytical with it. And just use math. Don't be paid less than the average if you're delivering more value than that. And that can kind of give you an anchor. And sometimes, if you have to just give that number, you can deflect it. Tell them you need a day. You need to know what their budget is. How much is it worth to them? How much will it make them?
I do the same thing. If I receive like an inquiry and I took like 15 minutes to see who's the person, what is the brand about. I go on the website, I take the website, I snoop the website, I see how much visits they get per month, and I do an average, conversion rate of 2%, 3%. And if they're making 100K per sales per month, uh, I'm shooting for at least 20K. That's like peanuts. So yeah, like a lot of homeworks before this sale call or only the discovery call can change a lot, because if you don't know how much they make and you're like low sell yourself selling that you're gonna make a website for $2,000, but they're looking for someone who's gonna say to them $20,000, you're gonna lose the
Yeah.
deal right away. So
And it's also important to know that sometimes you will lose the deal if you're too cheap. Because they
yeah,
the
exactly.
company holds a higher value or a higher price to a higher value. Um, and I don't know if it was in $100 million offers, that book, or if it's something Chris said. Someone that isn't me said, "Your first number should be a number that makes you smile because you're thinking, 'How the heck am I asking them for this much money?'" And the reason being, you know, that number should be something that if they say, "Yeah, cool, let's go for it," you're probably gonna think, "Wow, I should have asked for more." But that should be a number that you feel comfortable taking at that point, and you're going to be able to pay your people, you're going to get a nice cut, you can reinvest in your business. Like, let's not be too greedy with it, and we're always going to learn. But there have been several times where I've done that and I've given that number and I'm thinking there is no way I'm going to win this deal with that price. We're going to negotiate down from there. And they said yes. And I just after that I'm sitting there thinking, did they really? Because like you said, it's peanuts.
And also, low budget or high end clients, it's subjective. For people, it's like $20,000 is a low budget client. So depends, man. Depends on the level. So if for me $20,000 is a high end client, it is, and for other people there isn't. But everybody has his level. So for now, for me, a high end client is a $20,000 deal, which is very great.
Yeah,
So
no, it totally is, and it is subjective. And um, why don't we talk about? Let's give a few examples on how people can actually do this in a conversation. How they can bring up price without it being awkward, without them seeing like, you know, they're greedy. They only care about the money. Is there anything that comes to mind for you that you've done in the past to bring up the money?
yeah, sure. I always say that I value your time, and I think that you value my time. So I'd like to talk about pricing as of now, because if we're gonna waste 30 minutes or more than that, and you're gonna be disappointed. So I address this at the beginning, like the very beginning of the conversation. And if the price isn't right, which is rare because, like I said, I put the minimum amount on my contact form, so they're aware that this is the minimum price. So maybe there is people who don't see it, but as of now, I didn't have this kind of problems. But I still address it. I don't assume that they saw that my price is $5,000 minimum. So I ask them, and most of the time is yeah, I don't mind. It's okay, and from there it
Yeah, I mean
goes.
that's just your policy. And Blair talks about that in the book with like, you know, when you hear the number and you settle on it, it doesn't it's not real until the money leaves the client's wallet or the bank account. And then they have buyer's remorse in some capacity. So you have to encourage them and coach them through that. Um, and he gave a few, I don't have them in front of me, but he gave a few phrases like he said, put on your website, put in your contract that you will not, it's company policy to not begin strategy until a deposit of X percent, if not the full amount, is made. And he's like, then you're shifting the responsibility per se. It's not a you decision, it's your company's decision. Even if you are your company, you could say, well, this doesn't just impact me, it impacts my team. Bam. And you shift it. Um, one thing I like to say, and I'm doing this more now because I've been really bad about this, is I'll tell the client, before we proceed, I'd like to talk about your budget because I value your time and I value my time. And I don't want to go and put hours into a proposal, into a strategy, and come back and give you, and I always give a huge number that I think is just stupid because I'm looking to see how they respond to it. Sometimes it works, other times it's just they laugh. I'll say, I don't want to come back with a $30,000 offer and you're thinking 2,000. And they always chuckle at that. And I'm like, do you see what I mean? Yes. And I'll also maybe say, I just want to make sure you know that I'm not too expensive and I want to make sure we're both, using our time wisely. And then start talking about money. See how much they've spent in the past. How much value do they see in it? Try to put a number on that, quantify it. And you bring it up early. And yeah, sometimes you are too expensive. Walk away.
Exactly. Not that difficult, I think, because a lot of people fear talking about pricing. I don't know why, but for me, even especially because of uncertified like creatives, we are a lot of uncertified creatives in this new era. No diploma, no
Not a lot of
nothing, and
experience as well.
at the end of the day, exactly, like someone who have a diploma but don't have experience, I will take the person with experience high end, like right away. So I don't care if I don't have a diploma or something like that, because I know what I can bring to the table. So I don't doubt myself. I don't doubt my capabilities, and that's why I price my services this price, because
Yeah,
I
you
know.
have to know what's worth your time. And you're saying, you don't know why people have so much difficult bringing it up. Um, Blair said it's taboo in most cultures. It's taboo to talk about money, but he said that's in a personal setting. Yeah, at the dinner table with your grandparents, probably not the best time to talk about. Yeah, I got this $50,000 job. It's like, yeah, that's a little rude. uh, he said, it's not taboo in business, though. He said, this is business. You have to talk about money. And the more you do it, you become comfortable, you become better at it. And then, you think nothing of it. And I think most people will be surprised it's not as bad as you may think it will be. Like, the
Yeah, for
client isn't going
sure.
to be like, oh, you're talking about money? How dare you? Like, it's not going to happen. And it sounds ridiculous, but I think we
Yeah,
sometimes have
yeah,
to speak about that. Like, what's the worst that we think's going to happen? Flip the table and all this stuff. Well, if that doesn't happen, we're good, right? Um,
yeah, yeah. No, especially
yeah,
over
especially over
Zoom.
Zoom.
Who
Exactly.
cares?
If they do that, just Command Q, quit it, keep it pushing. I I really enjoyed this book. I'm definitely going to read it again.
Me
What,
too, for
yeah,
sure.
just in closing, what are some either takeaways or just general thoughts on the book?
For me, like I said, specialization. Just before, like, you don't need to put 1 month, 2 months practicing something, and after not starting, just start before being ready. As I said in the previous episode, you'll discover it while you're doing it. So don't worry too much about it. Just do it, and from that point, when you get your inner voice, your specialization, you get the point. So from that stand, I think that anybody can have a specialization, but you got to believe in yourself. You can do it. If you're here thinking that you're not enough, you need to practice it more and more and more, you'll
Yeah,
never be
no, you
ready.
never
So
will. Yeah, I think this book is great for those that need a little kick in the butt to get started. For those that feel lost, I bought this a while ago and didn't read it until recently, and I was lost at that point. I have written, and I took a picture and I sent this to Blair um, on Twitter, and I think I
nice.
spoke with you about this, but I wrote in the first chapter. Um, at the end, man, Blair got right to it and slapped me around a bit because it was just like everything that I heard from everyone else about specializing. He came right out of the gate. There's a reason why it's the first chapter. He's not talking about money and all of that. He's talking about you need to figure it out. Don't be going all around and doing 1,000 things. So I think it's a great book for those that may feel that way as well. Great book if you need kind of an intro to sales. There's a lot of practicality in this. Uh, I plan on printing out the 12 principles and hanging it up right next to my computer because that's where I do all my calls. And I'm going to highlight, bring up money early to remind me when I'm on the call, did I bring it up? And if I think, well, maybe now's not the time, I'm going to think, no, Blair says, bring it up early. Do it.
Do
You
it.
have to.
Yeah, great point.
Um,
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to discuss?
For me, like, there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah,
We're gonna
that's
go
fair.
to
Yeah,
another hour
yeah,
if we do. So, you know, like I said, the only takeaway from me is I found my specialization because of the book. So not only because of this book, but it's one of them that made me realize a lot of things. So, but before the book, also I was on the same mindset that I talk about money in the beginning, and it's kind of relieving that the book itself give you the confirmation that you need to do
yeah,
that. So yeah, it was
yeah,
very good read, very good
yeah.
practicality, and very
Easy.
good
Yeah.
implementation
I will
also.
say, for those that really do not enjoy reading, there are going to be a few sections
Mm.
where it's like, okay, there are a lot of big words in here. I, throughout the whole book, was just looking up on my phone really quick, what does this mean? And writing it in the margin. And he said in the podcast episode, he wrote this in a very specific way to make it like a manifesto. It's very kind of, I would say, royal. very, yeah, I think royal.
Do
Yes,
this,
it's
and
like
don't do
we
this.
will
Yeah.
specialize. Not in my past,
Hmm.
I found specializing to be really important. I think you should too. No, this is what we're doing. He's laying down the logging right into it, and
Right, right.
yeah. So if you get the book, you're reading it. Don't let that dissuade you. Don't let that make you put it down. Just Google it. It'll take 2 seconds. Um, my biggest takeaway from this, it gave me a confidence boost. To be quite honest, to think I'm moving from a order taker to a specialist. I'm no longer going to just give out all of this information, not even because I'm afraid people are going to steal it. I don't really care, but I shouldn't do that. I should be walking away. I should be selective. I should be saying no because it's not fair to the growth of my business and it's not fair to me. There's been plenty of times I have done, I can't even tell you. Like, and you're probably saying, oh, we all do it. Like, you put in all this work for people that, you know, they don't pay you. Yeah. And yeah, they don't. And yeah, I don't think experience is worth all of that. Um, an excellent book. I think that, like you said, we could talk about it for 2 hours. We're just giving a very more of a high level overview.
As short
Yeah,
as
yeah.
possible.
We want to keep it short for
Yeah.
everyone. Um, and with that, I think we're at the end of our episode. Again, this is Beyond the Book. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, and we're also on YouTube. Ahmed and I would love to know what is one takeaway you have from this episode? What is one thing you're going to work on? Please leave a comment. Please message us on socials. We want to know. However, that's easiest for you, make it happen. And as always, check the description for a link to our show notes. And with that, see you
Next
next
week.
week.